You are listening to Living with ADHD and CPTSD, available on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcast. And welcome to another episode of Living with ADHD and CPTSD. Today we have an ADHD episode, of course, and I'm going to talk about ADHD and society and social skills. So, I'm sure as a lot of you are aware, we aren't exactly social savvy or, great with the ability to interact with other people, knowing the proper social skills and social etiquette from an early age, childhood through our teen years, and of course into our adult years. We have basically poor developed social skills. And it is something that probably the vast majority of people who have ADHD deal with and have troubles with their entire life. And it's difficult to know what is wrong while we're growing up and, our brain development is occurring. It is extremely difficult, to know and to learn how to, play the social game and have the social cues and the skills that are required in order for us to, have friends, be in relationships, know the proper expectations when we're around strangers and friends and even our own family. So it's something that we have had to deal with basically our entire life. And unfortunately, when it comes to neurotypicals who experience it from their point of view, they often don't really understand, and so it allows them to kind of have a skewed point of view and understanding of someone who has ADHD, and we often lose out, and life for a lot of the case when it comes to social relationships and cues and everything is pretty unfair. So it's just one of those things. So I have a few articles and I'm going to read some pieces off of them and then of course discuss my own issues and kind of how to help or to find ways to deal with it and adapt in daily life and in long-term situations. So, individuals with ADHD exhibit behavior that is often seen as impulsive, disorganized, aggressive, overly sensitive, intense, emotional, or disruptive. Their social interactions with others in their social environment, parents, siblings, teachers, friends, co-workers, spouses, and partners, are often filled with misunderstanding and miscommunication. Those with ADHD have a decreased ability to self-regulate their actions and reactions toward others. This can cause relationships to be overly tense and fragile. The topics in this section address some of the particular relationship issues faced by individuals with ADHD and others in their lives. Social skills in adults with ADHD. Individuals with ADHD often experience social difficulties, social rejection, and interpersonal relationship problems as a result of their inattention. Impulsivity and hyperactivity, such negative interpersonal outcomes cause emotional pain and suffering. They also appear to contribute to the development of comorbid mood and anxiety disorders. Because very little research has been published regarding social skills in adults with ADHD, the suggestions given in this sheet are based primarily upon sound clinical practices and upward extrapolations from the research on children's social skills and ADHD. Overall impact of ADHD on social interactions. It is not difficult to understand the reasons why individuals with ADHD often struggle in social situations. Interacting successfully with peers and significant adults is one of the most important aspects of a child's development. Yet, 50 to 60% of children with ADHD have difficulty with peer relationships. Over 25% of Americans experience chronic loneliness. One can only speculate that the figure is much higher for adults with ADHD. To interact effectively with others, an individual must be attentive, responsible, and able to control impulsive behaviors. Adults with ADHD are often inattentive and forgetful, and typically lack impulse control. Because ADHD is an invisible disability, often unrecognized by those who may be unfamiliar with the disorder, socially inappropriate behaviors that are the result of ADHD symptoms are often attributed to other causes. That is, people often perceive these behaviors and the individual who commits them as rude, self-centered, irresponsible, lazy, ill-mannered, and a host of other negative personality attributes. Over time, such negative labels lead to social rejection of the individual with ADHD. Social rejection causes emotional pain in the lives of many of the children and adults who have ADHD and can create havoc and lower self-esteem throughout their lifespan. In relationships and marriages, the inappropriate social behavior may anger the partner or spouse without ADHD, who may eventually burn out and give up on the relationship or marriage. Educating individuals with ADHD, their significant others, and their friends about ADHD and the ways in which it affects social skills and interpersonal behaviors can help alleviate much of the conflict and blame. At the same time, the individual with ADHD needs to learn strategies to become as proficient as possible in the area of social skills. With proper assessment, treatment, and education, individuals with ADHD can learn to interact with others effectively in a way that enhances their social life. Okay, ADHD and the acquisition of social skills. Social skills are generally acquired through incidental learning, watching people, copying the behaviors of others, practicing, and getting feedback. Most people start this process during early childhood. Social skills are practiced and honed by playing grown-up and through other childhood activities. The finer points of social interactions are sharpened by observation and peer feedback. Children with ADHD often miss these details. They may pick up bits and pieces of what is appropriate, but lack an overall view of social expectations. Unfortunately, as adults, they often realize something is missing, but are never quite sure what that something may be. Social acceptance can be viewed as a spiral going up or down. Individuals who exhibit appropriate social skills are rewarded with more acceptance from those with whom they interact and are encouraged to develop even better social skills. For those with ADHD, the spiral often goes downward. Their lack of social skills leads to peer rejection, which then limits opportunities to learn social skills, which leads to more rejection, and so on. Social punishment includes rejection, avoidance, and other less subtle means of exhibiting one's disapproval towards another person. It is important to note that people do not often let the offending individual know the nature of social violation. Yeah, that is very true. Anyway, pointing out that a social skill error is being committed is often considered socially inappropriate. Thus, people are often left on their own to try to improve their social skills without understanding exactly what areas need improvement. Research on children with ADHD and social skills. Researchers have found that the social challenges of children with ADHD include disturbed relationships with their peers, difficulty making and keeping friends, and deficiencies in appropriate social behavior. Long-term outcome studies suggest that these problems continue into adolescence and adulthood and impede the social adjustment of adults with ADHD. At first, these difficulties of children with ADHD were conceptualized as a deficit in appropriate social skills, such that the children had not acquired the appropriate social behaviors. Based upon this model, social skills training, which is commonly conducted with groups of children, became a widely accepted treatment modality. In the typical social skills training group, the therapist targets specific social behaviors, provides verbal instructions and demonstrations of the target behavior, and coaches the children to role play the target behaviors with one another. The therapist also provides positive feedback and urges the group to provide positive feedback to one another for using the appropriate social behavior. The children are instructed to apply their newly acquired skills in their daily lives. More recently, ADHD has been reconceptualized as an impairment of the executive or controlling functions of the brain. It follows from this conceptualization that the social deficits of the individual with ADHD may not be primarily the result of a lack of social skills, but rather a lack of efficiency in reliably using social skills that have already been acquired. Social skills training addresses the lack of skills, but does not address inefficient use of the existing skills. Medication produces direct changes in the executive function of the brain and may therefore help children with ADHD more reliably use newly acquired social skills. Researchers have also added components to social skills training that help children with ADHD reliably apply what they have learned in various settings. To accomplish this goal, parents and teachers are trained to prompt and reinforce children with ADHD to use newly acquired social skills at home and in school. Only a small number of controlled investigations have studied the effectiveness of social skills training for children with ADHD. These studies have found that social skills training improves the children's knowledge of social skills and improves their social behavior at home as judged by parents. And these positive changes last to the 3 or 4 month follow-up periods in the studies. However, these changes only partially generalize to school and other environments. Researchers have also found that embedding social skills training within an intensive behavioral intervention, such as specialized summer camp program, is a highly effective way of increasing the chances that the children will maintain and generalize the gains that they have made. There is skills training to have more friends, are better accepted by their peers, and have better interpersonal relationships as they move into adolescence and adulthood. Clearly, this is an area where more research is necessary. Specific ADHD symptoms and social skills. All right, inattention. Tips for identifying subtext. Look for clues in your environment to help you decipher the subtext. Be mindful of alternative possibilities. Be observant. Be aware of body language, tone of voice, behavior, or the look of someone's eyes to better interpret what they are saying. Look at a person's choice of words to better detect the subtext. I'd love to go probably means yes. If you want to probably means probably not, but I'll do it. Actions speak louder than words. If someone's words say one thing, but their actions reveal another, it would be wise to consider that their actions might be revealing their true feelings. Find a guide to help you with this hidden language. Compare your understanding of reality with their understanding of reality. If there is discrepancy, you might want to try the other person's interpretation and see what happens, especially if you usually get it wrong. Learn to interpret polite behavior. Polite behavior often disguises actual feelings. Be alert to what others are doing. Look around for clues about proper behavior, dress, seating, parking, and the like. A momentary lapse in attention may result in the adult with ADHD missing important information in a social interaction. If a simple sentence like, "let's meet at the park at noon," becomes simply, "let's meet at noon," the listener with ADHD misses the crucial information about the location of the meeting. The speaker may become frustrated or annoyed when the listener asks where the meeting will take place, believing that the listener intentionally wasn't paying attention and didn't value what they had to say. Or even worse, the individual with ADHD goes to the wrong place, yielding confusion and even anger in the partner. Unfortunately, often neither the speaker nor listener realizes the important information has been missed until it is too late. A related social skills difficulty for many with ADHD involves missing the subtle nuances of communication. Wow, yeah, no kidding. Those with ADHD will often have difficulty reading between the lines or understanding subtext. It is difficult enough for most to attend to the text of conversations without the additional strain of needing to be aware of the subtext and what the person really means. Unfortunately, what is said is not often what is actually meant. That is so true. Holy. I get that kind of problem all the time. I only seem to get literal information and literal meaning of it. And when, especially my girlfriend, when she's often talking about something or, having a discussion about a particular subject, I'm really poor at understanding the subtext of it. And so I often kind of miss what she's really meaning. And so my responses towards her for what she's saying to me is often miscued and misunderstood and incorrect, which then upsets her because she thinks that I'm not paying attention or thinks that I'm stupid, right? Or a moron because I'm not getting the point of what's being said. It leads to a lot of great difficulties and then leads to emotional dysregulation because I get all overwhelmed and my anxiety levels spike, which isn't great at all. All right, let's continue. All right, impulsivity. Impulsivity negatively affects social relationships because others may attribute impulsive words or actions to lack of caring or regard for others. Failure to stop and think first often has devastating social consequences. Impulsivity in speech without self-editing what is about to be said may appear as unfiltered thoughts. Opinions and thoughts are shared in their raw form, without the usual veneer that most people use to be socially appropriate. Interruptions are common. Impulsive actions can also create difficulties as individuals with ADHD may act before thinking through their behavior. Making decisions based on an in-the-moment mentality often leads to poor decision making. Those with ADHD often find themselves lured off task by something more inviting. Impulsive actions can include taking reckless chances, failure to study or prepare for school or work-related projects, affairs, quitting jobs, making decisions to relocate, financial overspending, and even aggressive actions such as hitting others or throwing items. Rapid and excessive speech can also be a sign of impulsivity. The rapid-fire speech of an individual with ADHD leaves little room for others who might want to participate in the conversation. Monologues rather than dialogues leave many with ADHD without satisfying relationships or needed information. Hyperactivity. Physical hyperactivity often limits the ability to engage in leisure activities. Failure to sit still and concentrate for concerts, religious ceremonies, educational events, or even leisure vacations and the like may be interpreted by others as a lack of caring or concern on the part of the person with ADHD. In addition, difficulties looking attentive leaves others feeling unattended. Assessment of social skills. Interviews and self-report questionnaires are the primary tools for assessing social skills deficits and interpersonal interaction problems in adults with ADHD. During the course of a diagnostic evaluation for ADHD, a mental health professional will thoroughly assess the social interactions of the adults. When questionnaires are used, it is important to include both a self-report by the individual with ADHD and reports by spouses, significant others, and friends on a comparable version of the questionnaire. The questionnaire may include the following types of items: difficulty paying attention when spoken to, missing pieces of information, appears to ignore others, difficulty taking turns in conversation, tendency to interrupt frequently, difficulty following through on tasks and responsibilities, failure to use proper manners, missed social cues, disorganized lifestyle, sharing information that is inappropriate, being distracted by sounds or noises, becoming flooded or overwhelmed and shutting down, disorganized or scattered thoughts, and rambling or straying off topic during conversations, and then ending a conversation abruptly. So, treatment strategies. When the social skills areas in need of strengthening have been identified, obtaining a referral to a therapist or coach who understands how ADHD affects social skills is recommended. Medications are often helpful in the management of ADHD symptoms, and in many cases, an effective dose of medication will give the adult with ADHD the boost in self-control and concentration necessary to utilize newly acquired social skills at the appropriate time. However, medications alone are usually not sufficient to gain the necessary skills. As discussed earlier, social skills training for children and adolescents with ADHD usually involves instruction, modeling, role-playing, and feedback in a safe setting such as a social skills group run by a therapist. In addition, arranging the environment to provide reminders has proven essential to using the correct social behavior at the opportune moment. These findings suggest that adults with ADHD wishing to work on their social skills should consider the following elements when seeking an effective intervention. It is important to note that these treatment strategies are suggestions based on clinical practice rather than empirical research. Alrighty. 9 ways to master social skills. Here we go. Knowledge. Oftentimes, social skills can be significantly improved when there is an understanding of social skills as well as the areas in need of improvement. Reading books such as What Does Everybody Know That I Don't? ADHD and Romance, or You, Your Relationship, and Your ADHD can provide some of that knowledge. Interesting. Attitude. Individuals with ADHD should have a positive attitude and be open to the growth of their social skills. It is also important to be open and appreciative of feedback provided by others. Goals. Adults with ADHD may want to pick and work on one goal at a time, based on a self-assessment and the assessment of others. Tackling the skill areas one at a time allows the individual to master each skill before moving on to the next. The echo. Those who struggle with missing pieces of information due to attentional difficulties during conversation may benefit from developing a system of checking with others what they heard. I heard you say that. Did I get it right, or is there more? Or an individual with ADHD could ask others to check with them after providing important information. Please tell me what you heard me say. In this way, social errors due to inattention can be avoided. Observe others. Adults with ADHD can learn a great deal by watching others do what they need to learn to do. They may want to try selecting models both at work and in their personal lives to help them grow in this area. Television may also provide role models. Role play. Practice the skills they need with others is a good way for individuals with ADHD to receive feedback and consequently improve their social skills. Visualization. Visualization can be used to gain additional practice and improves one ability to apply the skill in other settings. Those who need practice in social skills can decide what they want to do and rehearse it in their minds. Imagining actually using the skill in the setting they will be in with the people they will actually be interacting with. They can repeat this as many times as possible to help overlearn the skill. In this manner, they gain experience in the real world, which will greatly increase the likelihood of their success. Prompts. Adults with ADHD can use prompts to stay focused on particular social skill goals. The prompts can be visual, like an index card, can be verbal, someone telling them to be quiet, physical, a vibrating watch set every 4 minutes reminding them to be quiet, or a gesture, someone rubbing their head to remind them to work on their social skills. That's kind of funny. Increase likability. According to social exchange theory, people maintain relationships based on how well those relationships meet their needs. People are not exactly social accountants, but on some level, people do weigh the costs and benefits of being in relationships. Many with ADHD are considered to be high maintenance. Therefore, it is helpful to see what they can bring to relationships to help balance the equation. Investigators have found that the following are characteristics of highly likable people: sincere, honest, understanding, loyal, truthful, trustworthy, intelligent, dependable, thoughtful, considerate, reliable, warm, kind, friendly, happy, unselfish, humorous, responsible, cheerful, and trustful. Developing or improving any of the likability characteristics should help one's social standing. Although ADHD certainly brings unique challenges to social relationships, information and resources are available to help adults with ADHD improve their social skills. Most of this information is based upon sound clinical practice and research on social skills and ADHD in children and adolescents. There is a great need for more research on social skills and adults with ADHD. Seek help through reading, counseling, or coaching, and above all, build and maintain social connections. Well, that's cool. So there we go. Yeah, that's amazing. Pretty much all of that is with myself. And it kind of brings back a lot of frustration because I'm like the stuff that they were talking about, like all the different hints and the things that are, that occur seem to always happen within myself and with like friends of mine, my girlfriend, family members. It can be extremely frustrating for me because I often just, because of years and years of realizing to some degree that I was really bad at a lot of social type of prompts and etiquette and how to respond, things to say, to them, that I just quit. Like I never really tried or just gave up. And to be honest, a lot of it has basically developed into a trauma response as well, like a protective manner or mechanism. And it's not a lot of fun at all because, we don't want to be alone. Nobody wants to be by themselves. It's just when we're constantly having issues and always making mistakes and we don't know the right way to behave, the right thing to say, or we're saying too much, or we don't say enough, or, there's all these different things that occur. And a neurotypical person sees this kind of behavior and they get an impression on us. And unfortunately, it's sad but true, but often first impressions leave long-lasting marks, and it's hard for someone to get a second chance unless the person that they're interacting with is extremely open-minded and understanding. And unfortunately, there are too many people out there who are not that way, and it will basically quit. And you don't get that second chance with many of these people, which is too bad, because, you know, if we would just have a little bit more patience from people and, better understanding, we might get more chances and have better opportunities at making friends and getting having a better chance at having a happy life and having success and not feeling so down and rejected, and having it cause trauma related behaviors. So it sucks. Okay. I have one more article that I'd like to read. Slightly different. There might be a few things that pop up that have been repeated possibly, but it's a little different. The article is called, "Can ADHD Affect Your Social Skills?" Well, we already know it does. So this is going to be a little bit different, but I'm hoping that this will really enlighten us and, make better understanding not only for ourselves, but for people out there who don't have ADHD, but perhaps have friends or is dating somebody who does have ADHD. All right, here we go. Yes, ADHD can impact social skills in kids, teens, and adults. Here's why and how to cope. Impulsivity, inattention, and hyperactivity are the three main symptoms of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. That can impact all areas of a person's life, including how they socialize. People with ADHD may have a hard time developing healthy social skills from childhood through adulthood, especially if their condition goes untreated. That said, it's possible to improve your social skills at any point in life. The first starts with understanding the potential challenges. ADHD and social skills. How does ADHD affect a person's social skills? For starters, in social settings, folks with ADHD may experience challenges with appropriate facial expressions, behaviors, tone of voice, focus, and body language. That is so true. All of that is me right to, perfect 100% explanation. Okay. Kate Hanselman, PMHNP at ThriveWorks in Stamford, Connecticut, lives with ADHD herself and says that people with ADHD can be more prone to doing the following things during a discussion: interrupting or talking over others, dominating a conversation, jumping from topic to topic, talking about off-topic or inappropriate subjects. She explains that these behaviors aren't due to a lack of interest. They're more about ADHD symptoms, like having a hard time with impulse control or remembering what they want to say next due to working memory issues. Hanselman says that people with inattentive ADHD can look distracted while someone is talking or have a hard time following the conversation. She notes that the following body language cues, which may suggest impatience or inattention, can impair social connection as well. So, looking away, tapping a foot, fidgeting, moving around a lot, and multitasking. How ADHD can negatively impact social skills across ages. There are many common challenges that folks with ADHD might face when navigating social situations at different ages. Childhood. In childhood, connection with peers can be challenging due to high impulsivity or hyperactivity, limiting a child's ability to engage appropriately in social situations. She explains that difficulties with emotional regulation can also lead to challenges in coping with sharing, conflict, and other necessary social tasks. A child with untreated ADHD can find themselves cemented in a role among their peers, such as the class clown or a poor student, which can become reinforced over time due to peer pressure, continued maladaptive behaviors, or acceptance seeking in the role. She adds, noting that this could lead to self-esteem issues. A 2018 study also suggests parent and teacher reports indicate that when compared with children without diagnosis, kids with ADHD experience higher rates of peer rejection, peer neglect, fewer friends, and less varied social activities. Again, true. Hanselman explains that kids with ADHD typically have a hard time keeping pace with their peers by traditional social metrics as well, which can carry on into adolescence and adulthood. This is just bringing back school memories. Jeez. Teenage years. Teenagers with ADHD can experience the same challenges as kids with ADHD, with more issues related to increased independence and self-management. According to Hanselman, this might include difficulty with time management leading to missed social events, impulse control and emotional regulation leading to difficulties in intimate or peer relationships, inattention leading to social isolation, as peers may interpret inattention as disinterest. Self-esteem is affected during this time as well, since coping with social challenges becomes increasingly important and challenging during adolescence. Adulthood. In adulthood, a person with ADHD may find a limited set of social skills due to the culmination of maladaptive behaviors and coping mechanisms they've developed over their lifetime. This means that adults with ADHD might have a hard time making new friends due to low self-esteem or continued maladaptive social skills, and maintaining old friendships due to difficulty following up or maintaining connection. How could ADHD positively affect social skills? Aside from these potential disadvantages, ADHD can enhance your social abilities in many ways. Hanselman notes that people with ADHD can be curious, interested, and interesting people with a lot of enthusiasm for their passions. Energetic, spontaneous, and fun friends who feel strongly and care deeply for others. Interesting conversational partners, as they can be adept at exploring many topics with a wide range of interests. She adds, while impulsivity can get a bad reputation, it can offer unique benefits like openness to new experiences, trying new things, and exploring new places. All of these perks can come along with living with ADHD can translate to a fulfilling social experience and make you a fantastic friend in someone's life. How to improve your social skills with ADHD. Rest assured, it's possible to have a successful social life if you live with ADHD. If you need help improving your social skills, try any of Hanselman's tips below. Keep a planner to help organize appointments, dates, birthdays, and events. Slow down when talking to promote better conversational skills. Use active listening skills, like repeating what you've heard for clarification to help you process the information and help the conversation partner feel heard. Ask others questions about themselves to let them know you're interested in them, and try to limit your potential to dominate the conversation. Make a note of your thoughts in conversation so you're less tempted to interrupt or forget. Bring a small fidget toy to help you keep your attention during conversation. Use mindfulness to support appropriate behavior. Take a moment to scan the situation before acting to make sure your social behavior is appropriate for the situation. Speaking with a therapist can also help you learn better communication and social skills. Hanselman recommends trying group therapy to hear from peers with ADHD and practice your social skills in real time as well. So, last, tips for parents who want to help their kids. So for those who have ADHD and or are parents, this is something that you could definitely help and use. So for parents who want to help their kids become more socially adept, Hanselman suggests trying the following strategies. Set ground rules for family interactions and gently reinforce them. For example, A raised finger or kind verbal social cues like quietly saying interrupting can help avoid disrupted conversations. Highlight your child's unique strengths. Help them with basic organizational skills such as keeping a planner to review daily. Reinforce the importance of remembering birthdays and anniversaries and model this while including children from a young age. Model the importance of being on time for things and discuss the impact of lateness. Promote self-regulation with direct and clear coping tools that are practiced regularly. Regular use of meditation and mindfulness can help too. Foster consistent sleep routines and meal schedules to support self-regulation and stability. Find a therapist who specializes in social skills development or ADHD to provide your child with specialized tools to support their needs. Hanselman adds that practicing these tips in low-stakes environments like at home can help prepare your child for social situations outside the house. All right, so there's that article. Okay, so here's the thing. When you grow up and you are in a situation where your ADHD comes out, like I didn't even realize, or I had no true understanding, of course, as a child or in my teenage years. And my behaviors, more often than not, ended up or resulting in me feeling rejected or getting like turned away, seeing disapproving like reactions from the kids that I knew, even some of the teachers. You know, like I was always talkative. I was very opinionated. I liked to get involved, and then a lot of times I would end up dominating the conversation, which, you know, can be annoying and repetitive. And at the same time, as I noticed, when I would start to continue talking, that or like start again the next time, everybody or a lot of people would, you know, give that groan sound or that sigh and roll their eyes, because in their minds they'd be thinking, oh, here we go again. He's gonna have his point of view. He's got to say something, right? Like it's one of those things that as a person with ADHD, they don't notice that. Like they don't pick up on it, right? Like I never had the ability to go, hey, you know, there's something I'm doing all the time that's causing my peers and my classmates to not be happy with my behavior. And I didn't realize, you know, I had no idea. So I was oblivious to this. And unfortunately in adult life, a lot of times, unfortunately, I tend to be oblivious to the same things. I have developed a defense technique due to the treatment that I received in school, where instead of doing a lot of talking and always trying to have an opinion or always being involved in conversations or in activities with people, that I ended up just not doing anything or hardly saying anything or not really getting involved in the conversation in a verbal manner. It would be mostly listening to the people talk, and I would be afraid to get involved because I was afraid of rejection. I didn't want to sound and look like I didn't know what I was talking about. I didn't want to appear stupid to people. And so often with people that I meet for the first time, and to be honest, months later, with numerous attempts of interaction, I have become the kind of person who is very shy when it comes to getting involved in a conversation. I feel intimidated a lot of times because of the content, whether or not the subject that's being discussed is beyond my limits as far as knowledge or understanding, I tend to just kind of sit back and let the other people talk. And unfortunately, like they've said in both articles, it gives the impression to the people that you're disinterested or bored or don't care, right? And so you appear to be rude, inconsiderate, and then that just turns people off. And they might forgive you the first time, and maybe they make an opinion on something and they're just too nice to say anything. But then they might hesitate the second time to bring you along or to invite you. And the second time or the third time that you're, hanging out with them and you're doing no real interaction, you're just kind of sitting there and listening and appearing to be disinterested, they're going to want nothing to do with you. They're going to say to themselves, well, this guy doesn't care. He has no interest in hanging out. He just kind of sits around and eats the food and drinks the alcohol or the drinks and doesn't care and doesn't want to involve. He's like antisocial, has no interests in getting to know anybody. So I'm not going to bother inviting them, or I'm not going to be his friend or her friend, and I'm not going to care about what they want to do. And so, of course, the person with ADHD is, well, socially inept. He's not capable of knowing the right things to say or do or act. And it just comes a vicious circle. And unfortunately for myself, I had initial friendships with certain people at points in my life, but due to the way I was, socially and lacking the proper skills, I ended up turning them off and no longer being friends with them. And even worse, it really affected me when it came to dating and going out and meeting new people that, in my mind were potential relationship partners. I was often either dominating the conversation or I didn't know how to act socially, and I never picked up on the proper cues. And so it either would appear to them that I was either full of myself and all I ever wanted to do was talk about me, and either didn't listen to them, would look like I wasn't paying attention, disinterested, bored, rude, you name it, that was that. And so they'd get turned off, and I didn't, I never really understood. I never knew that I was doing something wrong, and I'd get my feelings hurt because often I felt that it went well, and turns out it didn't at all. And it was a surprise to me because of my lack of social skills and understanding of the way things are supposed to go. I was always failing, and it got to the point where I just virtually quit, and I didn't care because I basically developed this preconception that I was destined to not have any success because it was, but I didn't know necessarily at that time that it was my fault, that I was the one causing the problem. I thought it was just them being unfair or, whatever, like either making an excuse or just having no idea that I had done something wrong. So it's affected me a great deal in my life, and unfortunately to a large degree it still affects me even in my relationship. And I often sometimes say the wrong thing or do the wrong behavior, and I a lot of times will say something that I don't realize is interpreted the wrong way or is seen as inappropriate or rude, mean, or maybe sounds like, like I don't care. And it's hurtful to them or to her. It's very hurtful. And I have no idea that I'm doing it. And and when I realize that I have done it, I often either get really down on myself or I get triggered, and then it's just screwed for the rest of the however long. Or she ends up getting really upset and then gets angry at me, and then it's just another nail in the coffin. And I'm not sure in the moment, because of the fact that I'm triggered and blended with my parts, trauma related. I don't know how to handle it. And then I get scared, right? And I sometimes say or do things that are inappropriate or wrong. And I'm just hurting myself. It sucks, but it's slowly getting to the point where I'm understanding what I've done wrong. But people are only going to give you so many chances. It doesn't matter who it is. So you have to find ways to adapt your behaviors in order to avoid this sort of scenario from reoccurring time after time.
And that is another episode of Living with ADHD and CPTSD. Well, I hope you enjoyed this particular episode. If you have any comments or questions or maybe a suggestion for my podcast, there are a number of ways to get a hold of me. First, you can email me. It's livingwithadhdandcptsd@gmail.com. You can contact me on Twitter. My handle is @ADHDandCPTSD. You can also get a hold of me on Mastodon, which is a new social media website that is kind of taking over a little bit for Twitter. If you look up Living with ADHD and CPTSD at mastodon.world, then you can find me there, you can follow me, and you can give me a shout and let me know what you think. You can also go to my website. It's www.livingwithadhdandcptsd.ca. And you can also check out my YouTube page. It's at Living with ADHD and CPTSD. If you would like to donate to help my cause for my podcast, you can go to ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/Living with ADHD and CPTSD. You can also go to my Patreon page, Living with ADHD and CPTSD, and become a member, where you get special access to all early episodes, plus merchandise. You can purchase merchandise to support this podcast. So, go to Patreon. All right, everybody. That's it for today. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.